الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. It is an invitation for all of us to reflect on your state of your heart, especially before tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah, hoping and invoking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be tomorrow Laylatul Qadr, in which everybody will benefit of worship of 1,000 months. A great blessing from the most generous subhanahu wa ta'ala, your creator, who created you, intending to shower you with his mercy subhanahu wa ta'ala. Honoring ourselves is to be a rightful candidate to this mercy. And that mindfulness, to care about it, to care about being accepted, to really long for it, that's the beginning of the inshallah, the honoring from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to you. Therefore, into your qiyam, into your reflection today, in your pondering, think of all of that. Think of your past, think of what you have done, think of what you want to be. Think of the gift that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you to, insha'Allah ta'ala, be able to boost that need, that longing to be forgiven, to be embraced in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that we have shared with you from the beginning of Ramadan, that the one who passed, or like witness Ramadan, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive him, because of their negligence, because of their carelessness, because of their heedlessness, because of not really, holding at high esteem this gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dead hearts, distracted hearts, coming to the masjid or being in their life, so-called very materialistic, and what they do as ibadah, as a habit. So this type of people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may not even look at them, because their hearts didn't truly, focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, closeness and nearness. Then if he's not forgiven, or if he's not forgiven, the Prophet ﷺ and Jibreel make a dua against this type of people, to be distant from the mercy of Allah, and to be, wal-iyadu billah, cast into the doom of the hellfire. A'adana Allahu min dhalik. Why? Because he's been given a tremendous gift, a lifetime gift, but they didn't care about it. And that's actually the meaning of kufr. Al-kufr is not a disbelief. In the Arabic, kufr is to deny or to neglect a gift. Kafara means to cover, and al-kafiru is also the planter who put the seed in the ground and cover it. And by a parable, the one who takes the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ignore it, cover it, does not care about it, that is kufr, and that is ungratefulness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to be, and give us the ability and the power to empower us to be grateful to the gift of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every time when I leave, there is many people, they ask a question. I said this is an opportunity, whoever who have a question, we can listen to your question and answer them. If not, we'll continue with the short Khatira bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Any question? All the question that I had is about zakat and money. So, it's good. Any question? Yes, go.
So this is my first Ramadan.
MashaAllah.
I have a video, somebody sent me about Zakat for Eid. Is it better to give food before the prayer? Is this besides money?
No, the zakat, there is many types of zakat. So zakat al-mali wa zakat al-urudi. And then this is the part of the zakat that is obligatory, and then we have zakat al-fitr. Zakat al-fitr, which is we already have mentioned it, $15, and that zakat is an obligatory on every believers, including even the child in the womb of their mother, that they have to pay zakat upon. And that zakat is to cleanse one's fasting. So, and will be even the faqir, even the one who does not have money, he should pay that zakat, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide and bring him, inshallah, his rizq during the day of the Eid, that he going to be taking the zakat al-fitr of others to him. So he has to pay the zakat. And that's zakat al-fitr as a part of obligatory into the end of Ramadan will be paid, and will be paid in the months of the sa', and the sa', which is, kind of a meal, and evaluated to between $10 to $15 or to $20. Depends on the type of the food that you are, making the analogy, or you're gonna be as a reference. If dates 3 kilograms or more, can be like up to, $20. If it's rice, you can look at the price. To give it food or to give it money, the scholars, they look at the most important part into the given zakat is the maslahah, the interest of the one who is receiving it, the one who is receiving it. In the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet described it to be given in food, and that was the most adequate and proper for the people at that time. If you give them food, they're going to use it. But today, if you give someone, a bag of rice, he might not even have the time or the place where to cook it and everything. That's why most of the scholars and all the madhahib, they align to the opinion of Al-Imam Abu Hanifa when it comes to zakat al-fitr, to give it, in money. So the faqir, or the one who receive it, he will, do whatever and use it in the most proper and adequate way for them. However, if someone want to give it as a food, that is the sunnah, and but give it in a way that the person will be benefiting of it, and not being caring about the receiver, whether he's gonna use that or not. That's why when you give money, you'll be sure that it's gonna be used by this person. So that's zakat al-fitr. When it comes to zakat al-mal, it's totally different. Zakat al-mal is one of the pillars of the Islam, along with the salah and the hajj and the fasting and the zakat. So the zakat is the obligatory, the pillar of Islam in the wealth, and the zakat, the prayer is in the body, and the hajj comes to have full submission and completion of the deen, and the fasting as renewing the oath with Allah, gaining a piety, and shows one's sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all of that help the believer by these 5 pillars to have the foundation of a good, a righteous person who will be able to have all these elements to feed their soul, to cleanse their heart, and keep them driven toward the raising of the good. So the pillar, this is what are the wadhifa, the role of this pillar. Zakat al-mal, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, actually we read it into Salat al-Isha, قَالَ خُذْ مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ صَدَقَةً, take from their money a sadaqah. The sadaqah has one purpose, to zakihim wa tutahhiru, to zakihim, cleanse their soul and cleanse their heart, but also increase in their wealth, and put barakah in their wealth. وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ, when you receive it, make dua for them, is going to soften their heart and make them joyful. The zakat, it has 3 aspects that someone need to take in consideration. First, the type of the wealth. Second, the amount of the wealth, and the amount and the duration. And the third is the percentage. So if anyone who has the type of the wealth that zakat is obligatory on it, so the type of the wealth is money, like saving, and the saving include whatever someone has, a balance, credit balance into their account, whatever they have, gold, they have silver, they have stock markets, they have money that they have into their retirement plan, all of those, that things that are on hand, like cash on hand. So at any given moment, if a person wants to collect all these assets that they are kind of liquid, how much he will have at that given moment, then that will be the amount of the saving of the person, and that will be the eligible or the amount upon which someone is going to pay zakat. Properties, land properties, things are not included in zakat. Having diamonds and everything, that's not included in the zakat, and someone will not pay zakat on. Once a person calculates how much they have, that money has to have the condition that he had it on hand for a whole year. Whole year. يحول عليه الحول. يحول عليه الحول. Then apply on it 2.5%. 2.5% will be the amount that the person he has to pay. This 2.5% does not belong to the person. Does not belong. That's it's part of their wealth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala entrusted into your hand. Entrusted to your hand to give it to the proper receiver, and the receiver that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah. قال إنما الصدقات للفقراء والمساكين قال والعاملين عليها. So the poor people and the needy people, the difference between them, the poor who cannot even provide for them the meals, the miskin, the one who can do it, provide for them the daily meals but with difficulties, the people who work for it, to collect it, they will have part of it. قال والمؤلف قلوبهم, those who you give them sadaqah just to help them know the beauty of Islam and everything. في الرقاب, to free slaves at the time. الغارمين, those who have heavy debts, to help them. And then further Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala قال وابن السبيل, the people who are like travelers but they don't have any money and things to be helped. And the biggest category قال في سبيل الله. في سبيل الله, whatever in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever in the sake of Allah will include orphanage, will include everything that is good, education, and add to it which is not in the Muslim countries as the masajid, because they should be financed by the government, but into the West as all the scholars to have the fatwa that also the masjid, because the masjid, it's not given to the masjid but given to the center, to their activities, to the way how to let's say manage the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and fulfill the rightful mission of the masjid, from teaching, from the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from spreading the word of Allah, from doing alhamdulillah activities that help people to connect with Allah, to build their personality in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And emphasizing of this part, because some people, they will be wondering, should I give to the masjid? I say yes, of course. And tomorrow all of you're invited to give from out of your generosity. If you don't give, inshallah, we'll have this room bi'idhnillah with the stick to inshallah correct you. So this is the part of the zakatul mal. There is zakatul urud. There's zakatul urud because someone asked me a question and they sent on the email. Someone has a business. How they gonna pay the zakat on the business? You pay the zakat on the business is very simple. If you do your your balance sheet, that will be part how you're going to calculate your zakat. The investment, the initial investment, if someone, for example, invested 50,000 or 100,000, that's not to be touched in the zakat. What's going to be touched in the zakat? It's very simple calculation. You come at the end of the year, you calculate how much inventory you have, and the inventory is calculated based on the cost of the product, not on the sell product. For example, someone is selling books or selling, things like you have the grocery, they see how much. And that's reflect the fluctuation of the inventory for the whole year. To make it very simple, because if someone want to, some of the scholars, they look, at the variation of the inventory to take like how much he has for the whole year. But in a simple way, that's how, it can be done. The inventory, the cost of the inventory, plus the receivable, any money that the person didn't yet receive from the client, minus the payable, which is the payable that they have to pay for the suppliers that they didn't pay. There's a cost of expenses also to be, related to the business to be deducted, and add to it whatever the person has cash on hand. Of course, cash on hand include the profit that they had made. The balance that you have is more than the nisab, which is the third part of the zakat. If it's more than the nisab, then they have to pay on it 2.5%, and that will be the zakat for the business. Nothing have to do with the zakat of the person. So someone has a business, He pay for his business, then he pay what he has money on the other side. So that's zakat for the business. Even as a personal business, unless this money and saving is together, that he will need to sort it out in a way to have a right calculation for the zakat. This is for the business. For the producers, for the farms and everything, I'm not going to talk about. I don't know if anyone have a farm, we can talk after, inshallah, or producers, or cattle, livestock. What is the nisab? What is the nisab? The nisab, the Prophet ﷺ, he defined it to khamsa awaq, and this is by conversion from dhahab, from gold, is 85 gram of gold. And we just calculated, a brother was asking, we looked at the gram of gold on the market, and it was around $4,300. So whoever who has 4,000, between 4,000 and $4,500 saved for a whole year, then he has to pay zakat on it. And that 2.5%, it does not belong to you. It belongs to the people who are going to receive it. You are interested. Anyone who keep it, he's like keeping hellfire. That fire, subhanAllah, will destroy. It's like you put a fire in the grass, it's going to burn it all. That's what it does, that part. قَالَ يُطَوَّقُونَ بِهِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And one of the things that someone will be have around their neck because they didn't pay the zakat is to have, subhanAllah, one punishment in the grave. They call it الثعبان الأقرع والعياذ بالله. ثعبان الأقرع is a giant, snake, and called أقرع. It may be bold, scary, and it will be like, subhanAllah, turning around, squeezing this person in his grave as a punishment because they didn't pay the zakat. So be careful. I know, alhamdulillah, but this is to say, all of that. That's it, I think. If there is anything else that, yes, sir.
Yeah, one question. So, on the night of Laylatul Qadr, Jibreel sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is going to come down. Is that?
The whole angels, سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. The whole angels, they come. Done.
Does they come, is it a specific time, so like after Maghrib? After Maghrib is when it begins? Or when
قال سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر. One of the of signs of it, the Prophet ﷺ described it. It's going to be a clear night. That night, the Prophet ﷺ, that he has been forgotten to specify it exactly. It has rain, because he said in that night the Prophet ﷺ makes sujood in ma'in wa teen. Ma'in wa teen is like it was, subhanAllah, kind of muddy floor. And the rays of the sun, or when it comes, subhanAllah, it's very clear, and the rays are not, as a normal day, kind of, you don't see them, but it's like a clear night. And one of the explanations of the scholar, he said, because of the crowdness of the sky of the angels. Subhanallah. So they will be coming down as well. قَالَ تَتَنَزَّلُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ وَالْرُوحُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it in the Quran. And it started from the night of Laylatul Qadr, which is after Maghrib. And then stays up till insha'Allah ta'ala, till Fajr time. سَلَامٌ هِيَ حَتَّى مَطْلَعِ الْفَجْرِ. Laylatul Qadr is a great celebration. Not celebration for the believer, celebration for the whole universe, and celebration for also the angels, as a great night of worship. And in Laylatul Qadr also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يقدر فيها المقادير. Allah determined, subhanahu wa ta'ala, He already know the maqadir, everything that is going to happen into this coming year. Who going to be dying, how much rizq someone is going to have, all of it is going to be in Laylatul Qadr. In a hadith, or like someone will be still, farming, and he already in the book that he's going to die this very year that is going to happen. And when we say, Allah make the taqadir, He will have the angel to know about it in that specific night. But it is the night in which the Quran has been revealed. So it is the rahmah of Allah, it is the guidance of Allah, it is a celebration of the greatest rahmah of Allah for the whole humanity, for the whole universe, and the angels will be taking part of that. So it's like a great celebration of worship, great celebration of Iman, and imagine Allah grant you this great gift by having it to be 1,000 months for one night. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us with this night. Jazakumullah khair. I think it's time for the salah. If you have more questions, we can do it in the thing. Barakallah.